Fantasy Mania 2. The War on Valademkin City. Chapter 3. As Bloodcry laid in her bed made of wood and leaves, she started to think about these human-like beings. She knew she wasn't like them and didn't want to just show up, because she wouldn't know what they would do. See, Bloodcry's heart had gotten hard these past few thousand years. You know, being away from her husband, not being able to do the things she did on her home planet. She then closed her eyes and went to sleep. Around 15 hours had passed since the humans had arrived on Eronus. They had set up different stations around the Universal Gate waiting for the charge to be ready. But they weren't the only ones waiting. People back home at SpaceX was also waiting so they too could turn on the Universal Gate that they had outside their facility. See, up till now, NASA is completely out of the picture. Ever since the government had crumbled, there was no longer any funds available to keep NASA going. So through private funding, SpaceX is able to stay active for another couple hundred years. Also, about half of what used to be known as the United States is now underwater due to the climate. All the ice had melted, so less and less people are staying alive, which is the main reason for the Universal Gate program to be a success. Soon 3 more hours had passed and the light on the machine had turned green. The astronauts looked at each other and knew they were about to make history. The people back at SpaceX had gotten the signal and were very happy. They turned on the switch and suddenly a blue spiral began to form. It was truly a wonderful sight. Then the astronauts did the same. Soon a countdown had begun from the 60-second mark. Once the number reached 0, they were given the okay to step through. And one of them did. It was shown live everywhere around the world. People were seeing history made right before their eyes. Humans were able to teleport at a quantum level, being able to break down every atom and reconstruct on the other side. Truly breathtaking. Soon the astronaut had stepped through the other side and everyone at SpaceX began to celebrate. It was about a week later they had a signal from the astronauts that it was time to send more supplies. Eventually several weeks and months had passed. Construction on a brand new city had already begun to take form. They called it Swokada City. It would take a long time to finish, but they had a pretty good start. As for Bloodcry, well, she wasn't very happy about it. The larger the city had gotten, the more and more Bloodcry knew it was time to move away. She had taken a decent size cloth, a good size stick, and began her way out of the forest and into the vast desert. From the looks of it, there was going to be a long journey ahead of her. Then one day, one of the residents of Swokada City had ventured off into the forest deep enough, and found something big. It was a gigantic bot of some kind. To be continued.